a 21 million supply cap. That doesn't change. The monetary policy of Bitcoin doesn't change. There's a new block mined roughly on average every 10 minutes. That doesn't change. Compare that to like fiat money and all the things that change where the central bankers just push a button and there's $3 trillion more in the market than there were a couple months ago. Wait a second. We're fixing inflation. Wait a second. It's a more fair monetary system at the base layer. Wait a second. It has the potential to sort of fix the housing crisis. Wait a second. It also has the potential to fix the energy crisis. My favorite thing about Bitcoin is how...
Welcome to the Bitcoin RX podcast. This is your host, Nurse Ralph. Today, I got with me John from My Favorite Thing About Bitcoin. We're going to talk about Bitcoin and we'll give you your daily dose of orange pill so you don't die from fiat disease. My man, John. What's up, man?
Yeah. Thanks, Ralph. I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. I appreciate you giving me the time. Before we start talking about Bitcoin, of course, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Like, what was life like before Bitcoin and what brought you in exactly?
All right. Well, yeah. So what's interesting is I do think about that BC before crypto, AC after crypto, right?
Yeah.
But I do. That's definitely real in people's lives. But I think in reality, it's more like a little bit of like a journey, right? A continuum, a spectrum, right? Of like this constant, for me personally, is this sort of constant growing conviction over time. So like, I know, we'll talk a little bit about like, the early days, but like, it's funny because I can look back at my Coinbase app and you can basically see, I don't even use Coinbase anymore. That's one progression in the journey, but you can see the progression in my journey of like how much Bitcoin was he buying, how often was he buying it, how much was he selling, how much was he buying Ethereum, and then as time goes on, it's like he's buying less ETH. He's not selling his BTC anymore. His DCAs are getting bigger. You can like see it in my Coinbase app. It's kind of a funny way to like chart the journey and look back. And now he's starting his own Bitcoin YouTube channel, and
look at
the journey
us.
keeps going. Yeah.
It's funny that you said that because I think a few weeks ago I was looking at my Coinbase too. I was like, I was buying the top. I remember like somewhere in like, I can't remember the date, but in 2021, actually, I was looking at my purchase and I was like, I bought Bitcoin like 50 something thousand. And I'm like, oh, wow, I actually held through the entire like bear market. And that's when I did not know anything really about Bitcoin. I just bought it because somebody said to buy it. And then now I'm like, wow, this is great. I wish I was buying more back then, but like, I'm like, man, if only I knew. If only I knew. Yep. Man, that's amazing. That's amazing. And did you have any like good resources that like helped you like understand what Bitcoin like actually was? Like, what were like your main like go to podcast or books or anything like that?
Tons. I mean, it basically, it all comes back to YouTube, I think, from the early days, because it's such an easy way to like throw on a Bitcoin video or a podcast and go do the rest of your life. You could be driving, you could be doing the dishes, like it doesn't matter. So many hours of mine spent like in my just extra free time with just Bitcoin podcasts just constantly in my head. So whether it's like Robert Breedlove and Michael Saylor, he has that crazy series that they did for hours and hours and hours. And then you got like Preston Pish, you got Seyfedina Moose, like all the classic OGs. I've just consumed like hours and hours of their stuff. I think so like I bought Bitcoin way back in the day, but I didn't really get it. The first one where I really started to get it, and this is funny because I'm not even like a Tucker Carlson guy, but I stumbled upon Tucker Carlson interview he did with Michael Saylor. It was like posted on Reddit or something, and I just like happened to watch it, and I was like, that just first started the like, wait a second, this thing actually is different. It's not just like, I'm going to buy some Litecoin and I'm going to buy some Filecoin and I'm going to buy some Bitcoin. Like, wait a second, one of these things is not like the others.
Yep. It does, like, it's kind of weird because it's like the way that I did it, I was buying a bunch of different cryptos and then I was like doing like process of elimination, like I remember at some point I was buying, I don't know if you're familiar with like Sandbox. There's like there's so many different ones. I mean, I don't even know what they're doing nowadays. And then like you're trying to figure out what are they doing, what are they used for, and all that. And then eventually you're like, well, all roads leads to Bitcoin eventually. So we all get there basically. When you're like trying to like educate people about Bitcoin, do you have like an easy I guess like podcast or book that you help them start with that you usually suggest, or and like what's your like go-to that's like nice and simple for like a newbie to like kind of get their feet wet?
Yes, there's a few people on the internet who've like curated sort of that like beginners part of the journey. The first one that comes to mind is like Swan Bitcoin, the exchange. They have a lot of content on their website, and they have like a Bitcoin canon section, which is like start here, and it's organized it for you, and it has like, here's some videos that'll start you from the very beginning. I started like a notes app in my phone that's like that I compile things to, where I'm like the Bitcoin resources that I think are like really good. The Actually, I had this guy on my podcast a couple weeks ago, Joe Bryan. He made this video called "What's the Problem?" If you've seen that,
Oh,
which is
great
now,
video. Oh my
yeah,
God.
it's sort of becoming the new like, where should a beginner start,
Yep.
right? Because I
Yeah.
do think as Bitcoiners, especially the longer we've been in it, the more we're like, oh, read the Bitcoin Standard or whatever, right? We're like, that's a great recommendation, but not everybody wants to bite off that much for their first bite, like, so what's the problem? It's like 30 minutes, and it doesn't even really talk about Bitcoin. It's just
Not at
like,
all. No.
yeah, why is
And
money
maybe at the
broken?
end of it, maybe like he like
Right.
mentioned it yeah, way at the end. Yeah, I love that video. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, on
It just
the
starts with like,
Bitcoin.
why is money broken? So you're like, okay,
Yep.
you do have to understand the problem before you can understand the solution. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I agree. Like I honestly love that video. I sent it to like almost like everybody like I knew. I was like, this is like, the other thing about this video that I liked a lot is that the like obviously I'm a nurse, and obviously like the health factor of it, like
Hmm.
how he had this little diagram in it that how it's related to like obesity and all those the other like psychological problems. It's like that was just amazing to see, because then when you start looking at it, it's like, oh wow, actually that's true. Like like the way that if the money's losing value and we're not making better quality product and we're feeding people crap food, basically, that's it has an effect on everybody's health, basically. So yeah, I
Yeah.
honestly love that video. And
Yeah.
the Bitcoin Center was actually my first book, but you're right though. It's kind of it's a tough one to start with if you like not like, I don't know. You have to have a
The
certain like,
Yeah, the other new one that's
oh
becoming a
yeah,
go-to is that
I
one, which is
finished
like,
out.
it's
Yeah.
a little more easily digestible than the Bitcoin Standard too, and it
Yeah.
similar to the what's the problem. It starts with like, why is this a problem? Because a lot of people think Bitcoin is a solution in search of a problem. It's like,
Yeah.
you have to, so
Yeah.
that's what you have to understand the problem first, and
Yep.
same thing with Lepard, does a really good
Yeah.
job of the same thing.
Oh yeah, that's a great book. That's a great book. And
Yeah.
I have to ask, what is your favorite thing about Bitcoin?
Oh, good question. Yeah, man. Like, I you're the first person who's asked me. I ask everybody who
Ah,
comes on my channel.
good.
That's
I'm
sort of the
glad.
thesis of my channel, is like,
Yep.
start with that question. But my that's this is the reason I started the channel to begin with, because my favorite thing about Bitcoin is how deep the rabbit hole goes. Like, the whole like, come for number, go up is what most people start, and then stay for the wait a second, we're fixing inflation. Wait a second, it's a more fair monetary system at the base layer. Wait a second, it has the potential to sort of fix the housing crisis because of the way we've monetized housing in this way, where it's a utility good, but it's now monetized because it's used as a store of value. And then you start to go down, it's like, wait a second, it also has the potential to fix the energy crisis because Bitcoin mining can help incentivize the build out of renewable energy projects and new energy projects that wouldn't normally be profitable. And it's just like the rabbit hole just keeps
Yeah,
going
it's like,
deeper and
where
deeper
does
and
it
deeper.
end? It's like it's
Yeah.
forever. I know. I'm like, wait, there is more. Like, and
Yeah.
honestly, like, I'm like, I'm doing these podcasts, and I'm like, I feel like, I mean, yeah, I know way more than like the average person, but at the same time, I feel like I like don't know anything. Like, I feel like although I've read like dozens and dozens of books about money and Bitcoin, I still feel like, I don't know, like I just scratched like this much
Yeah.
of it. Like, there's
There's
so
no
much more
such
to
thing
learn.
as a Bitcoin expert, right? Like,
Never
yeah,
that. No, never that.
you're,
Like,
yeah,
I
you're
mean,
studying forever.
yeah, I mean, people can come to me for questions. I'll be able to answer, the basics. But like, as far as like, I mean, if you start going into sheesh, I mean, the more like technical part, I mean, I don't know much about that at
Right. Yeah.
all.
Like,
Like,
if you focus on learning about the monetary side, you're
yep,
still got a long way to learn on the technical side, or like
yep,
vice versa, right? Like, yeah.
yep. Oh yeah. And on that note, like, what do you think is one of the most misunderstood things about Bitcoin? Like, I know a lot of people that I talk to, it's always like it starts with, oh, it's a scam, and then, oh, it's a bubble, and then they go into, oh, well, it's too late. Like, what do you think it's like? Have you seen a common thing that's like, that people
Yeah.
misunderstand?
everything about it is misunderstood, right? Let's start
Damn.
there,
Yeah.
right? Basically, if you step outside my experiences, if you go outside of the real world, or if you step outside of Bitcoin focused spaces online, you just inundated with FUD and misinformation about what it is. I just feel like it seems anecdotally like 90 plus, 95, 99+% of people still really have no idea. My thesis is that most people's idea of what Bitcoin is comes from 15 or 16 years of mainstream media headlines, which are mostly FUD. So it's like they read a Wall Street Journal headline in 2017 that said Bitcoin's ruining the environment, and that's all they know about it. Like they just don't know anything about it. But most of all, I think the biggest sort of misconception is that it's just a speculative investment with no intrinsic value, right? Like people just think, oh, it's Beanie Babies or it's tulips, or at best it's like a stock, but it doesn't have underlying cash flows or a company that's generating profits underneath to give it value. So most people just think like, oh, you're just putting money in a magic thing and hoping it'll go up. It's the greater fool theory. You're hoping you can sell it to some other guy for more money tomorrow. And most people just don't even bother to peel one layer back, I think, to see why any of those misconceptions might not be true.
Right. Yeah. Did you ever watch like there's a documentary this guy called it's wait, oh hold on, it's coming to me. It's about inflation. Jesus. No more inflation. Actually, he like posted it on X. It's like $10 to watch. I don't know.
Oh,
Did
cool.
you ever
I don't
watch
think I've
that
seen. I think
documentary?
I've seen it promoted. I don't think I've
Yeah,
watched the whole.
yeah.
Or
It's actually
actually watched it.
such a great documentary about like
Cool.
inflation in like other countries and like Venezuela and all of that. It's like trying to basically talk about the problem, and then towards the end they like kind of talk about Bitcoin, and then like how that what we were talking about, the energy stuff, and how there is a mining company, I can't remember their name, but they were doing like they were using I don't know,
Gridless is
they're
one of them. Yeah.
exactly to like help in like power little town in African countries, which was
Yeah.
incredible. I was like, oh wow, like I mean, I was like fascinated by it because I'm like, man, there's like this thing is like this is not about like money and like making money. This fixes. I mean, they say Bitcoin fixes a lot of things, like, and you know, we exaggerate when we say Bitcoin will fix
Yeah.
everything, but low key, it's like, bro, like there's a
Yeah.
lot we can do with Bitcoin. It's not just, you know, making our savings account go up, you know. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that side of it. And when you were learning about Bitcoin, was there any like part of it that was like difficult for you to like kind of understand
Oh,
ish?
dude. I mean, all of it's difficult. That's why I think the adoption. Part of the reason why the adoption is slow is because these concepts are very challenging to understand. It's challenging to understand the monetary stuff, and then it's even more challenging to understand the technical stuff that makes it all work. So, like, I think it is really hard. And I've sort of part of my journey has been like, I want to understand the rebuttals to all these pieces of FUD. Because, like, again, like I said, if you go on X or Reddit, especially, and you're like, oh, you just buy Bitcoin, someone's like, that's just a Ponzi scheme. I want to know how to say back, well, here's why it's not, So, but it takes research and understanding and like a lot of sort of maybe unwinding things in your mind to figure out what the answers to those things are and why those pieces of FUD are not true. And it takes unwinding like all your preconceived stuff about what money is and Keynesian economics and all the stuff we've been taught. So it's pretty hard to understand all that. And then if you really want to go the next layer to understand like the technicals of what Satoshi built and why it works and how miners work and how nodes work and like how distributed consensus works, and like it's pretty kind of challenging to like really understand in depth all of it, and how, oh wait, it's actually this fascinating thing where he had to build on decades of what other people had built before him, trying to build like different e-caches and why they failed, and then what he did to make it different. And then since then people have been trying to break it for 15 years, and what are the reasons why this version has worked. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any finance background at all?
I mean, my a college degree is in
Yeah.
business economics or whatever, so
Yeah.
to
Okay.
some degree, but I didn't
So yeah,
work in
like
finance or econ
finance. Yeah.
since then. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find it like, I mean, I don't know if you know, but do you find it easier for like if you talk to others, do you find it easier for like people with finance degrees to understand Bitcoin more, or do you find it easier for like somebody that knows nothing, that goes into it with an open mind, to like kind of get it faster.
Yeah, it's a funny thing where I do think a lot of people with a TradFi background, with a traditional economics like background or a TradFi, job experience, I think anecdotally they do have a harder time wrapping their mind around it because it's so different from everything. It's so outside of, it's so far from everything you learned in Econ 101 about Keynesian economics and why we do QE. And it's so far outside of what they do in TradFi. Like, okay, like, well, I can't use a discounted cash flow analysis model to price Bitcoin. Therefore, I can't know what is an accurate price for it today. Therefore, I can't know whether I'm buying it at a good price or not. Therefore, it's a bad investment. Like they just, I've read Buffett, right? And I've read John Bogle, and I've, done what Munger told me to do. And I can't see anything outside of that. And that's why it's so hard for them to grab. That's why I talk so much about gold, like being one, like comparing it to gold, because all the criticisms of Bitcoin basically apply to gold. Like, why do we pick up this shiny yellow rock and think it's an investment? You have to understand why that happened, why that thing happened in human history for you to
Right.
be able to get Bitcoin, in my opinion. Yeah.
Right. It's like it's funny because like in like just investing in general, right? The reason why like the S&P 500 goes up, it's because of like QE. It's because money printing go burr, and all your assets go burr, and that's why Bitcoin goes burr. It's like to me it feels like such like an easy layup, and I'm like, why do y'all not? It's an asset with a limited supply. Like how
Most people have
else
been
can you
taught
put
to
it?
think that's a bad thing, that money
Yeah,
can't work if the supply doesn't keep growing. So
yeah,
most people think, oh, well, won't everybody like, well, if my money's worth more in the future, I'll never spend it and I'll never invest it. So most
right,
people have this sort of backwards Keynesian thing of, oh, money can't work if the supply is finite. Oh, well, won't they just run out of units? It's like, it's totally
right,
backwards. As productivity increases, the units become more valuable and prices fall. Therefore, you could just have one Bitcoin and the whole world economy could run on that one Bitcoin. As
right.
prices fall, the units become worth more and their purchasing power grows. But
Yeah,
that is just
yeah,
flips everything on its
it,
head from what people already
yeah.
think. Yeah.
What do you think about the putting, like, I wish we could like do a little like reset where instead of saying one Bitcoin, we use like 100 million Satoshis instead. I feel like that would have been like so much easier for people to understand, because like
Yeah.
with a one bit, I don't know, like it just feels like the price and like
No, it's true. There's a
if
unit bias thing that
yeah, the
messes
unit
people up.
bias
Like
is
if
yeah,
they
yeah,
were used to just saying, "Oh, well, there's 2.1 quadrillion satoshis," nobody would be like, "Well, is that enough to run the whole economy?" Because there's more dollars than exist today. Nobody would be worried about it. But there's a unit bias thing that messes with people's minds. Same thing with the price, right? Well, oh, it's $95,000 for a Bitcoin. That's way too much. I'm going to buy Dogecoin because it's 20 cents or whatever, right? Like, never mind that there's 10,000 new Dogecoin issued every minute or whatever it is. It's like, that's why they're 20 cents and they'll never go more than that. Right. So, like, yeah, the unit bias messes people mind. If we could do a stock split in Bitcoin, right? Like,
that
yeah, it would
yeah.
help some people wrap their mind around it. But yeah,
Yeah, I know that's unfortunate. That's something we just can't.
one
It
day
is what it is.
people
Yeah,
will talk more about sats than they do
one day.
about
Yeah,
full
I know
Bitcoins.
some.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, somebody was saying that. I think when Bitcoin hits $1 million, like when what is it? Sheesh, I can't remember the math, but like when one Satoshi is gonna equal 1 cent.
Yeah,
Am I
that's
doing
pretty
this?
far. So if there's 100 million
Or
sats in a Bitcoin would have to be $100 million for a Satoshi to be a
to be a
dollar.
dollar? To be a
And then
dollar?
you have to
Yes, that's right.
100x that for a Satoshi to be a cent.
God
That's
damn.
gonna be a
Okay, yeah.
while.
So that's yeah. Never mind. Never mind. Yep. Okay. So maybe yeah,
It's
maybe
gonna be a
then. I don't
while.
know. I don't know. Yeah,
Someday.
we're gonna be waiting a while. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I was gonna say, did you see Michael Sanders buy this morning?
Yeah, like another
Like the
15,000
another
or
fifteen
something. I
thousand,
was
and then
just
like
like,
yeah, that's wild. And then I was looking at the amount of Bitcoin that were mined just this week, and it was like it's like 3,000 something, about 3,000 a week, based on like the was it 400 something per day, or I forgot the math, but like it's like these guys are their average has been about 6,000 Bitcoin per week in 2025 on average, and there's only 3,000 Bitcoin mined per week. It's kind of wild. Like I'm
it's
like,
mind blowing.
yeah, like when like the fact that Bitcoin is still at like 90 something $1,000, I'm just like, damn. Like I
That
mean,
company, MicroStrategy, like, I think it's unfathomable how much money that company is gonna be worth. Like, if we're
yeah.
right about this friggin'
If
Bitcoin thing,
if they don't lose
like,
it, if everything goes right, I'm just like, damn, like this
It's
is
going to
gonna be,
be the world's
yeah,
first $4 trillion company, $5
yeah.
trillion
Oh
company,
yeah,
$10 trillion
yeah, yeah.
company. Like it,
The new
yeah,
Warren Buffett. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah,
But let's switch gears for a second. I saw one of your shorts about shrinkflation. And I liked it a lot because I feel like nobody talks about that. I really liked it a lot. Can you, briefly like kind of explain? I mean, I know maybe some people understand, but like, can you explain like difference between shrinkflation, inflation, and like how that kind of like relates to like the money and the money printing and how that's affecting, I guess,
yeah,
us as a society, if you don't
yeah. I
mind.
mean, I'll try not to be too long-winded,
No, oh no, hey man,
but
take your time.
I think most people don't really know what money is. I mean, that I don't want to sound like condescending or whatever. Like, I'm sure
No,
everybody
yeah,
has, concept of what it is, but what it like how money developed, like how commodity money's developed and how humans, converge on certain commodities, why we use certain things as money. I don't really think most people understand that background. That's what helped me understand Bitcoin. So for me, I think money is a technology and it basically has three functions: store of value, medium of exchange, and unit of account. So inflation is the increase in the money supply. Today, we have these juiced up CPI metric that measures a basket of consumer goods and how the price changes from year to year, but they change what's in the basket and they change how they weight what's in the basket. I just did a video about this, not to plug my channel too hard, but so it's not a real measure of how prices are changing because they're changing what's in the basket. So I think the real measure of inflation is how much the money supply is growing. So inflation and shrinkflation are basically two sides of the same coin. The money supply is growing. That means the money that you earn or the savings that you have in dollar terms in the US is your percentage of the overall total supply is going down. And naturally, prices rise as the money supply increases because there's more dollars chasing more stuff. The amount of stuff doesn't usually increase in the economy at the same rate that the money supply does. There's more money chasing less stuff, and you hold a smaller percentage of the total of the money. So everything costs more in purchasing power terms for you. That's the simplest way I know how to explain inflation. And shrinkflation is the other side of the coin where producers of goods and services, or goods mostly, they experience inflation too. So the price of everything they use to make their thing goes up for them. So they basically have a couple choices: raise the price, which might hurt how much stuff they can sell, uh, lower the quality because they have to save money by buying cheaper inputs, or they'll do shrinkflation, which is just sell you a little bit less of the thing that they were selling you before, and keep the price the same. So like I just like stumbled upon a packet of Oreos in the grocery store, and I think intuitively my mind and body knows the size and weight of a packet of Oreos. And I picked the thing up and I was like, wait a second, something's different. And I looked and it was like, yeah, they just took it and like, they're in 3 rows of cookies and they just made the 3 rows one cookie less. And so there's just 3 less cookies in the thing, but the price is the same.
damn,
Like, and they think we won't notice. And
yeah,
it's like, this is what happens. Like this,
yeah,
it's back to that. What's the problem video? Like it's another extra negative externality of the fact that we have broken money and our money is effed with. There's 3 less cookies in the friggin' Oreo thing. And why on earth? Now you got me going. Why on earth would the cheapest, crappiest, most like high fructose corn syrup filled, chemical filled junk cookie go up in price? It's nothing but like chemicals and super cheap inputs. Like it should not be going up in price, and they should not
yeah.
need to take 3 of them out of the thing. The case should be getting bigger and bigger and bigger because they can make Oreo cookies for cheaper and cheaper and cheaper.
Yep. Oh man, no, I know. No, you explained that perfectly. I mean, I don't want to get you going because I can see. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, that's no, that's actually crazy. And the thing is too, the other thing I'm wondering is how is that affecting the pharmaceutical companies? I mean, I don't know how like great the qualities of like the medications that we're taking now are really, but like like I'm wondering like are we getting like lower quality medications now? Like
Interesting. I mean, yeah, it's your
I mean,
domain expertise for sure, right? The
yeah, I
medicine, the
mean,
medicine
but
side.
then I don't have the proof. That's the thing. I'm like,
Yeah. I couldn't say for sure right about that specifically, but it's just a general rule across all products essentially, right? Is that like as the money supply increases, input prices for every producer go up. So everyone has to find ways to cut costs, lower input quality, or build a better moat around your product. Which so in pharmaceuticals got all these copyrights and trademarks and patents that the government uses regulations to help them build this moat and have this monopoly, so that, oh, we're the only one who can sell this thing. Therefore, we control how much margin we have in it. So then, I mean, again, we're going into more and more of the externalities of broken money. But another one of them is, well, the best way to gain an advantage in the society is get as close to the money printer as you can, and get government to build to like lobby government to make regulations around what you do so that you can have an artificial monopoly. You don't compete freely. You want to have an artificial monopoly so that you can have better control over your prices, so that you can, basically not have to be a victim to inflation quite as much. It's just another, like, it just keep those externalities just keep going and going and going, because it makes government bigger and bigger and bigger, because government just keeps interfering to solve these problems that government money printing caused in the first place.
Yeah. Bitcoin fixes this, I guess. That's I mean, I don't know.
Everything comes back to that.
Yeah, and everything comes back to Bitcoin. On that note, now that we know that, that's the thing that Bitcoin fixes, when you tell people that, hey, Bitcoin is the best savings account, and then they look at the volatility and they're like, oh, hell no, like, this is not, I'm not going to put my savings account into this. How do you explain the volatility to a newbie and be like, hey, listen, I know it's volatile, but like, this is actually the best savings account out there? Like, how do you explain that to, the average Joe out there?
Yeah, the price volatility can feel scary to people, I think, and it's part of the reason why I don't feel all that comfortable. I tell people to study Bitcoin. I don't tell people to buy Bitcoin, especially people in my life, because I don't want to be responsible for like them buying Bitcoin, it going down 15% in a day, them being like, "Oh, this is a scam," and then them selling. I'm like, if you don't understand it, don't buy it. Study first, But my thing with if you can get over, so my thing with the volatility of Bitcoin is that the reason that Bitcoin's fiat denominated exchange rate, I like to sometimes say that instead of price, because that's all it is. It's just an exchange rate between Bitcoin and dollar, Bitcoin and euro, whatever. Bitcoin's fiat denominated exchange rate is volatile mainly because of fickle human beings who are trading in and out of it all the time. It's the freest market in the world because it's 24/7, global. There's no breaks, there's no trading stops, like nothing. It doesn't take breaks on holidays. So it's the most liquid, or not the most liquid thing, but like the most tradable, like saleable thing in the world, where the global market never stops. So people are trading in and out of it. They're using 100x, 200x leverage. So fickle human beings are going to do that. The Bitcoin just sitting there, and human beings are doing what they do with it, making the price go up and down. We know price is set at the margin. So hodlers like you and me are just holding it in cold storage. We don't affect the price on a day-to-day basis. The people who affect it are way at the margin, who want to trade in and out and buy and sell all day and use 100x leverage, and they get liquidated and the price goes down, And the other piece of that is currently the Bitcoin market cap is less than $2 trillion total. So if you look at, Saylor or Jesse Myers or whatever, that have these charts of, there's basically $900 trillion of dollar denominated assets in the world. Like half of that is private wealth that's just looking for a place to store value. Well, some giant percentage of that is just sloshing in and out of this $2 trillion market cap asset, right? Like, so it's making huge waves, of course, but that's just a function of adoption. Like, it's very early. We're 16 years into Bitcoin as a technology, as a savings tool, as an asset. So if you look at that tiny little drop and then you see all that money that can slosh in and out, like, of course it makes waves. I know this is like the longest answer ever, but the thing that I fall back to is like Bitcoin itself, that's just the dollar denominated price and human beings messing with it. Bitcoin itself is as stable as it gets. So when you understand Bitcoin and the Bitcoin network, there's a 21 million supply cap. That doesn't change. The monetary policy of Bitcoin doesn't change. There's a new block mined roughly on average every 10 minutes. That doesn't change. There's a difficulty adjustment every 2016 blocks. That doesn't change. There's a block subsidy halving every 210,000 blocks. That doesn't change. So compare that to like fiat money and all the things that change, where the central bankers just push a button and there's $3 trillion more in the market than there were a couple months ago. Or the interest rate, they just change interest rate on a whim whenever they want. Like, so stability wise, like, yeah, there's reasons why the price goes up and down. It feels scary when we're used to like looking at stocks charts, and 5% in the Dow would be like a nightmare. But if you really want to study Bitcoin and understand why, everything about Bitcoin itself is stable, and we're just undergoing this adoption phase, that of course something that's really, really early in its adoption is going to be more volatile. That smooths out over time. Like gold was probably pretty volatile, when it first became monetized as a monetary asset. We don't have like charts to see it every day, but it probably took a while to smooth out, and then it becomes less volatile over time.
Yep. Because it's the same thing with houses too. It's like, I mean, the prices are not volatile, but like nobody like stares at their phone and look at Zillow, 24/7. Oh my house just went down 10%. Oh, my house just went up 5%. But like we're doing it with Bitcoin. It's like, no,
Yeah,
just buy it,
that's really,
put it somewhere and
you
save
can't
it.
actually know if your house went up or down 5% in a day, right? So maybe like there's
Yeah.
a crime that happened around the corner. If you could see the
Yep.
daily value of your house, it'd probably go down and you'd
Yeah.
freak out. But you can't see it, so you never
Yeah.
think about it. You don't worry about it. Yeah,
Yeah. And also selling the house too takes months, man. Like, it's like you can't, it's not quickly, So no, no, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. And where do you see Bitcoin in like the next 5 to 10 years ish? Like if adoption wise, price wise, if you had to take a guess, I know I'm telling you you know,
yeah. I mean,
but
the most uncertain part to me is the timeline. Like everything that's happening and going to happen feels pretty certain, like barring any, catastrophic black swan events of like, something being broken at the protocol level. So the timeline to me is the most uncertain part. What's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years is up and to the right. There'll be more adoption because of the way money works, because of the way human beings gravitate towards harder money. Period. Like that's just history. That's not like my opinion. Like if you study history of money, a harder money comes along and comes into a free market competition with a weaker money, and the harder money demonetizes the weaker money over time. It happens every time. There's network effects and like path dependence that can make that take longer, but eventually harder money wins. So Bitcoin will see more adoption because more and more people will come to that conclusion, or they'll just literally see number go up against everything else and be like, wait a second, I thought that was a Ponzi scheme. But it just keeps going up. And more and more people stop thinking it's a tulip bubble because, wait a second, tulips went up for, a couple months and then came crashing back down. Why does the Bitcoin chart not look like that? Why does it look like every time it goes down, it comes back up? Something here is different than tulips. So I think it's just like we just keep educating people, trying to spread the word. More and more people will just keep, coming to it in their own time, and peeling back the layers of the onion and answering these questions for themselves or stumbling across these YouTube videos. And to some degree I think that's a good thing. Like, there's essentially a theory that like Max Payne would be Bitcoin going to $1 million tomorrow, because everybody who hasn't gotten it yet gets, not priced out like completely. They can still buy Bitcoin, but they get priced out of a lot of the gains. So now we have institutions and hedge funds and all these people coming in. Our chance to front run them is running out. So to some degree, the longer it takes, it's hard for us to be patient, and we want to see more adoption. We want to see it go up, all these things. But to some degree, the longer it takes, in a way, is a good thing.
mm-hmm. Yep. Except for the guys in leverage and stuff, So hey, oh well.
Yeah.
Also, as far as Bitcoin being good for everybody, for you, other than the number grow up technology, how else has Bitcoin changed you?
I mean, a big one I think is like the lower time preference thing, right? Like, first of all, I didn't even know what time preference was, so now I know what it is. But I do think there's a degree of it entering your life, and you kind of having this reckoning of like, well, I have this dirty debasing fiat that's worthless. That's harsh, but losing its value over time. So a couple things you got to do. One, you're either like, well, I'll just spend it on crap I don't need, because that just becomes a habit. Or two, I'm like, oh, how do I constantly find where should I put it? Right? If you find Bitcoin, you can stop, messing with, oh, I got to look at the stocks and what should I do? You can just, oh, now I have my savings technology and I can just set and forget it. But for me personally, it's like the biggest thing has been this sort of passion around it and this confidence to kind of start my own Bitcoin channel and start like talking more about it, and kind of it just taking up a larger and larger portion of my, you know, um, the free time and energy in my mind, outside of all the obligations of life. More and more of the sort of free time goes into Bitcoin. Now I'm like creating content about Bitcoin rather than idly, doom scrolling on my phone, which I think is more positive and more productive for me personally. So yeah, I mean that definitely doesn't apply to like a lot of people, but there's just cool ways. Like everybody's journey is different, but once Bitcoin enters your life, it's gonna find ways to affect you positively, which is awesome. And that's different for every person, but it's a super cool part of the journey.
Yeah, no, I know. I never pictured myself doing podcasts. Jesus, like not like I was never a doing like presentation person. I was never all of that until Bitcoin, and now I'm like, damn, I would feel like I'd feel bad if I don't try to help as many people as I can. Like I don't think I'll be able to sleep at night if I don't try to spread the word. Like I'm like, and I'm not even uncomfortable doing this. And I'm like, oh, this is natural talking to another fellow Bitcoiner. I'm like, oh, okay, this is not bad. We're on the same page. I'm like, this is a great conversation and all that. I like that.
Yeah.
What's your plan for your YouTube channel though? From now, just gonna be doing
So like I
more
started
podcasts
like
and
last year. Yeah, I started last year. I knew I didn't have the time to do, I always wanted to do the interview series. I knew I didn't have the time at first. So I just started posting shorts, like just clipping other people's content. I was consuming content all the time. So I was like, well, I'll just clip other people's stuff, post shorts of it just to spread the word. And then when I finally kind of bit the bullet, kind of like decided to have the time and commit the time to it, I started the interview series. So like, yeah, just trying to talk to some of my favorite people in the Bitcoin space. The thesis was, I'll ask, what's your favorite thing about Bitcoin? Hopefully they give a good answer. Use it as a jumping off point for for a larger conversation. And then started making my own videos, that are like, quote unquote educational, I guess, right? Like I'm not trying to play like I know more than, most people, tons of people in Bitcoin know way more than me. But I say anybody who's, in the first 3-4 years of your journey, like there's potentially things that I've studied already that I could potentially offer a perspective on. So I make my own, solo videos now, and then I make the interview, and I just right now this is another thing about Bitcoin. Actually, this should have been my answer to your last question. Like Bitcoin teaches you like a lot of patience. Like it teaches you like, yeah, you put your money in Bitcoin and you think you're going to get rich tomorrow. Not going to happen. What's going to happen is it's going to go down. It's going to come up a little. It's going to go sideways for way longer than you think. Way longer. Like basically all of 2024, it was sideways. And then all of a sudden, there it goes. But that's teaching you like DCA, stack sats and stay humble. Just study Bitcoin, do more research, spend the downtimes learning, not looking at the price. And that I am applied to my YouTube channel, which is like so easy to look. Oh, this guy's got 10,000 followers. This guy's got 20,000 followers. This person, just started their channel and their video got 20,000 views. Like you can't look at any of that. You can't like I post a thing and it gets 70 views and I'm like, oh, this is disappointing. I spent a bunch of time on that. The lesson is, yeah, the lesson, same with Bitcoin. The lesson is every follower, every view, every subscriber is a real human being that saw value in your thing. Appreciate that, enjoy it, and try to get a little better each time. And that's it. Just stick your head down, put one foot in front of the other. Don't worry about the outcome. If you trust the process with Bitcoin or with your YouTube channel,
yep,
like
yep.
you'll get there eventually. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Stack sat and stay humble. I like that's a good answer actually. I like that a lot. Are you a millennial like me?
Millennial. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, nice. If
I
you
thought
could
you
go
said, am
back
I
in
a
the
millionaire?
oh, hey, no, I'm not. I wish I would
Not
not be
yet.
doing this.
Yeah. Nobody come to
No,
my house looking for
yeah, I know,
millions of
right?
dollars worth of Bitcoin. It
Hey, I
ain't
don't,
there.
I
I
don't get
promise.
it. No, if you could go back in the past and talk to like your other than buying Bitcoin, I know, we all want that. Nah.
Right. Answer number one. Well, if I can't tell myself to buy Bitcoin, I would tell myself to study Bitcoin. But
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I know that's not what you meant.
No, that's fair.
I don't know, it's similar to like what I said about the last thing, right? Like that's such a lesson is like lower the pressure on yourself, lower the time preference of everything you do, lower the time horizon and the what you think you're supposed to be achieving in a day or a week or a month or a year. Like there's that quote that's like, we vastly overestimate what we can do in a month or a year, and we underestimate what we can do in 5 years or 10 years, right? So your whole life is head down, one foot in front of the other. The outcome will take care of itself. There's like a Steve Jobs quote that's like, something about life is about collecting dots, and you can only connect the dots when you're looking backwards. You can't connect the dots today or looking into the future. So your whole life is collect the dots and then don't worry about the outcome. Like when you're ready, you'll be able to look back and see how the dots of your life connect.
Yep. Damn, that's deep. Sheesh. I might
Hella
have
deep,
to.
bro.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. Oh man, thank you for your time. I hope that was not too painful. Where can people
Oh, dude,
find
I
you,
could do this
man?
all day, man. How much time you
Oh
got,
yeah.
man? Let's go 8 hours.
No, I know. I mean, I gotta go, but I will do it again. I will do it again because this is just the beginning, man. This is my little introduction, I guess, podcast phase. Where I kind of like get people talking, get them comfortable, and then and then eventually, at second time around, be ready to answer some very complicated question because I ain't gonna take it easy on you.
Oh, dude, I see these Bitcoin podcasts like most like Breed Love or whoever, like the new podcast comes out and it's like 3.5 hours long, and I'm
Yeah, I'm
like,
like, bruh,
damn, dude.
Jesus. I mean, I enjoy them, but I'm like, woo, man,
I know.
that's yeah. But where
It's a
can
long
people
time to
find you,
record.
man?
It's a long time to listen. And then
It is. And then
yeah,
editing it too is, I mean, I don't edit my podcast as much. I just let them play out. I mean, if I'll put a little introduction at the beginning and then, but like I like to just let the conversation flow, man. I know too much editing just kind of, to me at least, just I don't know.
I
I'm
know
just
I'm
that type
too
of person.
self-conscious at this point. Like I edit, like lightly edit like the parts where I think
Yeah.
I look awkward or like I talked way too much. And I'm like, oh
Yep.
damn it. Like I talked for 5 minutes in between,
Yep.
questions to the guest, and like afraid some person on YouTube's gonna be like, let the guest talk.
Oh,
So then I'll like clip it in post.
you know,
But I'm
no
getting
matter
more comfortable and just let it breathe. Yeah.
yeah, no matter what you do, somebody's gonna have something bad to say.
Yeah.
So just let it be. It is what it is,
100%. Yeah.
man. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But where can people find you, man?
Yeah, the YouTube channel is my favorite thing about Bitcoin,
Nice.
MFTAB. I think I have like created a branding issue for myself because I couldn't get that as my @ symbol on Twitter. So my
Oh,
Twitter is at the Sad Daddy, which I'm kind of embarrassed about because I think it's goofy, but I thought it was funny when I created it. So every day I'm like, should I change it? It's kind of stupid, but
I
uh,
mean, that's I don't know. Hold on. That's hitting me hard. I- you might have to keep that one, man.
yeah. Well,
Damn, at the
yeah,
sad daddy. Sheesh,
yeah.
that's a good one. That's a good
And
one.
then I'm on TikTok at the same thing at the Sad Daddy too, because I'm on
All
TikTok
right.
specifically because there's very little Bitcoin Maxi content on TikTok, and I'm like, we
Yeah.
gotta fight
Yeah.
the XRP bots
Yeah. Oh
and the
God.
the
Yeah.
shills,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
nothing
Yep.
but crypto shills
Yeah.
and XRP bots. So I'm out
No.
there with the fighting the good fight on TikTok, and just people telling me I'm a scammer and an idiot and a Ponzi schemer.
Yep. Do you find like the comment section on TikTok like horrible? Like I've heard a lot of like, I mean, not bad things, but like a lot of like, I don't know, like pushback where people are just like, oh no, like I don't know, is it like not?
Mostly, like I said at the beginning, mostly it's like on YouTube, like you're in your algorithm bubble, and it pushes out to people who like Bitcoin, and then when it pushes out to people who don't, like beyond the Bitcoin bubble, that's
Yeah.
when like you start to get people telling you you're a scammer. On TikTok, basically all people who aren't in the Bitcoin bubble, in my
Yeah.
opinion, there's
Yeah.
like few people who follow me who like say nice stuff on most of my things, which
Yeah.
I appreciate, and
Yep.
then like everybody else it pushes it out to is like, you're an idiot, you're a scammer, that's going to zero, quantum computing is going to destroy that, and there's all the pieces of FUD. But then I'm like, okay, good. I take the comment and I use it as a way to rebut. Like, well, here's why.
Ah.
Here's
Yep.
why you're
Yep.
not right about that. And
Yep.
if I
Yep.
can
Yep.
keep my cool and not get annoyed by them, then I can hopefully, spread the message slowly but surely.
Yep. Damn. I sounds good. I mean, I might have to look into the TikTok thing because I find that interesting. There's too many haters out there, and we need to. I might start doing that too. All right, sad
Yeah, man.
daddy. I'm gonna see you next time, man.